What's it like? The tense, muscle-bound Vantage shape is so familiar now it's easy to overlook just how pretty it still is. The lime green elements do sit at odds with the car's understated beauty, though, and they're bound to divide opinion as a result. If you don't care for the bright stripe and show-off calipers, you're unlikely to be sold on the cabin. Lime green piping flows down the dashboard and accents the seats. The switchgear, incidentally, is now much better and easier to use than the fiddly controls that were fitted to early Vantages, although the clumps of buttons do look a little like the controls you'd expect to find on a mid-range microwave oven. At least the latest infotainment system is now intuitive and easy to navigate, while the seating position is just about spot on. Having said that, the optional fixed-back bucket seats are more supportive than this car's conventional two-part chairs. Everything about the Vantage AMR's startup procedure and low-speed nature makes you think it's a hefty, burly sort of thing, as though it's intent on giving you a good old workout. You have to press the oblong key surprisingly hard into its slot in the dashboard to fire the engine, while the clutch and gear shift have a certain weight to them. The fly-off handbrake that nestles between the driver's seat and door also takes a bit of muscle to operate, and the steering feels heavy. You're reminded the Vantage is very much the sports car in Aston Martin's lineup and not the effortless GT. Accordingly, the Vantage comes into its own with a little pace. Whereas the low-speed ride is very tight and fidgety, it relaxes markedly as the passive dampers come into their range over 50 miles per hour or so. There's plenty of will travel and movement in the body, too, so the car actually flows along the road quite serenely rather than skipping and hopping along it manically. The steering relaxes with speed, too, feeling quite light and vague at first, but you soon tune into the steady stream of messages that pour back from the front tires, wheel constantly fidgeting and tugging at your fingertips. No matter how good electrically assisted racks may have become in recent years, they'll never match a hydraulic system like this for purity of feel and feedback. Given that Aston Martin's chassis engineers have had more than a decade to master the Vantage's ride and handling, it should come as no surprise to learn the car is simply brilliant to fling across a moorland road. It's poised and agile, front axle clawing huge amounts of grip from the tarmac on the way into a bend. The rear end takes a fraction of a second to find its set in a corner, but when it does so the car feels perfectly balanced. Even when it's loaded up in a bend in, the chassis has enough in reserve to brush away a mid-corner bump or sudden depression with a single damper stroke.